Hi, for the first time in absolutely ages, I'm actually doing some cooking and recording it. So this afternoon, I'm going to make two things, which I've already put the recipes on for, I'm fairly sure. The first is cheese medallions, which are wonderful. And while they're in their fridge doing their bit, I'm going to make the Christmas pudding blondies, which are kind of after Christmas, but yeah, I'm making them before, so there you go. Now I'm making my cheese medallions in a food processor. You can make them any way you like. You can make them by hand with a hand mixer, in a stand mixer, or in a processor. I'm using a processor because I can and I'm going to, so there. So I've got all the ingredients in my processor and I'm going to whiz it. And none of that you need to see. I mean, you know how to weigh out things, ingredients, you know what an egg looks like. The recipe says knead it all together with the egg to a smooth paste. And that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to show you some more. Okay, so that's where we're at the moment. All my ingredients are in my processor. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera. It's very exciting. Do it while we're live. Don't get this in live, Jenna. Don't get live camera moving, do you? Just as well, probably. There it all is in my processor, ready. Hold on. I'm going to take my blurred background off. Choose virtual background. None. I think that'd be a bit clearer. Blurred background. So there it all is: margarine, cheese, flour, and salt and mustard all in there. And I'm going to whiz them up with an egg. So I'll be back with you in a mo, half a mo. Just hang on in there, guys. That's it whizzed up, and it is, as you can see, a paste that I can press with my fingers out of there. Might see it better if it's lower down and not quite so close to the camera. There it is, all mixed in like that. And you roll it into a roll. You split it into four and you roll them into 4 even rolls. Now, you can make them bigger and make fewer, because this amount here makes 100, which is an enormous amount. And you might not want that many. On the other hand, you might have loads of family coming at Christmas and you might want that number. But you can choose how big you make them, because obviously when you make 100, they're going to be quite small, as you can see by the amount I've got here. So I'm going to get my flour over. So I've got flour on my board. It's out. Oh, I've just cut myself. Ow! Oh, I've just cut my finger on the beater of a food processor. Food processors are pretty lethal. Ow. Ow. Now I'm going to have to stop now to go and wash my hands and get a plaster. Pooh, hold on a minute. Sorry. Be back. Right, so I formed one of the, I've put a glove on because I would have bled to death, actually, in the time it took me. I could have bled to death in the time it took me to get the plaster out and blooming packet. But anyway, I have it now and unwrapped. So there's one, and that's 10 inches by roughly 1 inch, roughly. So you can see they're 1 inch in diameter. So they're not going to be very big nibbles. So when you cut it, they are only going to be 1 inch across. So I'm going to do 2 that size, just because that's what I've told you to do. And then I'm going to do the other two together, much bigger. And you'll see, I mean, well, it's quite obvious, isn't it? So this one, let's put a bit of flour there. This one, if I keep rolling it, we'll get to 10 inch. I mean, divided it very roughly into 4. It's not an exact science, ladies, as you know, with any cooking. So there it is. That's 10 inches and 1 inch in diameter. So that's 2 lots of quite little cheese nibbly bits for you to serve at your oh so posh cocktail party. You can, of course, if you wish, you could probably cut these into fancy shapes, but to be honest, it's a very soft mixture and I wouldn't recommend it. You do better to do that with cheese pastry, which we've done before. Have we not done cheese straws before? Right, so this could be much thicker because it's 2 rolls put together. So you could do 2 lots like this, or 4 lots like that, or whatever you want, really. Come on, you're big girls, you can make up your own mind. So they're much bigger. Okay, this is all getting a bit adult colouring, isn't it? They're much bigger. So I'm going to do one like that, and I've got two like that, okay? So that's what you do. And then, having formed them into the rolls, oh dear, what you do is you sprinkle your working surface with paprika and parmesan, and you roll them in that, okay? And then you put them in the fridge. So at this point, we go, I just dropped, I'm dropping things like there's no tomorrow. Oh, I've just dropped my egg. Eggshell on the floor and made a mess. And I've got hair in my face, and I'm a bit not doing very well at all today. I've been in the library all morning. I think I'm a bit tired. Right, there we are. So I'm going to sprinkle this worktop. I'm going to move these and put parmesan and paprika on here and roll them in it. So hold on 2 ticks and I'll show you that. Okay, now can you see my worktop here? Covered in, not covered, but with parmesan and paprika. It's actually smoked paprika because that's all I have. So hey ho, that's what we've got. So it's 1 rolled in it, 2 rolled in it, 2 rolled in it, and 3 rolled in it. Okay. Let's move those. Now I'm going to wrap them, needless to say, in the ubiquitous cling film. Let's hope my friend Claire is not watching this, because she'll beat me up. Single-use plastic and all that. And I know it's naughty, but I don't know what else to use. I haven't got any of those fancy schmancy reusable made out of beeswing or whatever it is. Sorry, I'm not making a joke about it. I know we should be. I do as much as I can, but I haven't got anything other than cling film. So that's what I'm going to wrap it in. You could put it in all sorts. I mean, if you had a box big enough, you could do that. So that's what they're going to go. And they're going to go in the fridge to firm up before we do anything else with them, okay? And they're going to go in the fridge, and they need to be in there, probably about half an hour. Well, they need to be in there as long as it takes me to make the next thing, okay? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to realise you can't see these. I'm going to move these over so you can see them, okay? I'm going to wrap them up, and I'm going to pop them in the fridge now in the cling film and leave them to firm. Actually, first I'm going to clear the fridge, try and find some room for them. And I'll be back in a little while with something else. Now, because of the time lag, I'm actually going to do 2 things in one recording, which I've never done before, and you're going to have to put up with it, because I don't want to go away for half an hour and then come back and do the cheese things and then do this. These are the Blondies, which I'm doing now while the cheese things chill. So you want 150 grams of unsalted butter. And we're talking about cooking chocolate this morning in the library, as you do. And someone asked us which cooking chocolate we used, my pal and I, and we both said 70% is the sort of minimum you want, but we agreed unanimously that Lidl's cooking chocolate is wonderful. So don't worry about going and buying really expensive cooking chocolate. Lidl's is great, as Lidl's most thing is. And I expect Aldi's is as well, actually. So right, so that's, sorry, I've got to keep washing this glove. Glove. So that's 150 grams of unsalted butter, and then 200 grams of white chocolate. This is 1 block of cooking chocolate. So break it into a microwavable dish, bowl, whatever, jug, don't really care. I've got, actually, I don't know where it is. Really nice Pampered Chef huge jug stroke mixing bowl. I think Bob's tidied that somewhere. I haven't seen that for a while. Maybe he's paying me back for the knife that he can't find. Perhaps, would not surprise me. So I'm very annoyed today because the forecast, well, I'm not annoyed because it's glorious, but the forecast was rain, rain, rain and more rain. It's actually been dry, dry, dry. After a bit of rain this morning, been dry all day. And now it's gloriously sunny and actually quite warm, which is all very bizarre because it wasn't supposed to be warm at all. So you melt these together in the microwave. Now, I would, as you know, put a plate over it because butter when melting tends to split and tends to make a dreadful mess of your microwave. So don't do that. Put that in the microwave. I'm going to do it for a minute and we'll do it incrementally. Now, I want 3 eggs. 1, 2, 3. I need to whisk with 150 grams of caster. So I'll get another bowl. And have this ready for when that comes down. Come on. Right, 150 grams of caster. 151, but you know, who's counting? So you've got to whisk that with that and some vanilla, a teaspoonful of vanilla. Okay. One teaspoon of vanilla. Straight in the dishwasher with that spoon. And 3 eggs. 1, 2, and 3. The eggs. I started buying these mixed sized eggs because they're not terribly small. They're not huge, but they're not terribly small. They're quite a lot cheaper than buying, you know, a dozen large or a dozen medium. And you know, if you're really anxious, you can put 1 big one and 2 smaller ones. Or if you find a really little one, you could just add an extra egg. It's not going to break the bank because they're quite cheap. So you've got to whisk that and give my chocolate another minute because it's not quite melted. So I'm going to whisk this with a hand mixer. There we are. Whisk this up. Chocolate's got to cool slightly, so you're going to have plenty of time. That's nice and fluffy, and it's got lots of bubbles on it. And we need to have here ready for when this comes out. We need 125 grams of plain flour. Which is over here. 125 grams of plain. You, of course, will have had this all measured out before you start, and you'll be deeply efficient, which I haven't been today. 120. 25 grams of flour. Flour there, and we need 150 grams of leftover pudding, or in my case, brand new pudding, which we're not going to eat. Well, Bob's going to eat the rest of it for his dinner one day, which he'll absolutely love. So I've melted my chocolate. There it is. I'm going to, it says to cool it for a little bit. I'm stirring it in together. Try and combine the butter and the chocolate a little bit because they are completely separate. Can you see the butter's just sitting on the top of the chocolate? So I'm giving it a bit of a stir, but they don't really combine very well, but I will stir it well together. Let's see if I can get them to combine a bit. Put that over there to cool. Meanwhile, I'm going to find 150 grams of, this is my gorgeous black Co-op Christmas pudding. So it weighs, I think it weighs double what I want. So I'm going to cut it roughly in half. No, not in half, my husband would tell me. I'm going to cut it in two. He's not pedantic at all. I don't usually think that. I'm going to cut it in two, not in half. In two pieces, and weigh one of them, which weighs 158 grams. Well, do you know what? That'll do. So I'm going to chop that up. Oh, you can't see it. 158 grams is, let me move this out of the way so you can see it. Sorry, it's that much. Can you see? It's half of a little pudding bowl like that. So it's sort of two slices probably of someone's Christmas pudding if you have it at Christmas. As I say, this year we're going to my son's, and he is one of the bit of the family that doesn't like Christmas pudding. Bob's family like it. His daughter makes it. None of my family like it. My ex-husband was ill if he ate dried fruit, which is quite unfortunate come Christmas, as you might imagine. So we never had mince pies, Christmas cake, Christmas pudding, because he just wouldn't eat them. And the children consequently didn't grow up eating them. They actively dislike dried fruit like he does. I mean, it didn't that he disliked it, made him ill. Can't imagine why, but it did, made him sick. And a teacher at school one day made him eat it. He was sick all over her shoes, which I think is what she deserved. Of course, that made it even worse. He then flatly refused to eat anything with fruit in. It's quite limiting, actually. It really is quite limiting. You don't eat any dried fruit at all. He apricots, but he's certainly not currant sultanas, raisins, cherries. So there we are, chopped up Christmas pud, flour, eggs. Let me move my scales out of the way. What we're going to do is put those all in together. If this is cooled slightly, I'm going to leave that a little bit longer while I just line my tin, which I also haven't done. I'm a very bad girl. You want a tin 20 by 20. Now, as you will know from other things, what I have made, I haven't got a tin 20 by 20, so it's going to have to be one of my oblong tins, and we'll make it work because we just don't care. I'll just put it in a tin, which is there's one when you need it. Sorry, they're very heavy, and arm isn't working at all. So, blimey, 20 by 20 is 40, isn't it? 2 2 4 40. So I need a tin that is the equivalent of that. So she's looking for her ruler that she had a moment ago. So this one is, centimetres, what am I doing? This one is 18 by 27. I reckon that'll do. So I'm going to use this one, okay? I'm going to line that and I'm going to make it be enough. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. I must have used it before, but I've never had one 20. I've never owned it in 20 by 20. I think perhaps it ought to be something I put on my Christmas list, perhaps. One baking tin, 20 by 20. So, I'm going to quickly line this tin while my chocolate is a little bit more. And I'm going to light my oven, which I also haven't done, at 180. And 180. So, I've been feeling terribly guilty that I haven't done any cooking stroke recording, so this is making me feel better. And Bob's at football, so he's not here to interrupt me or want me to do anything else, like be in the garden, which is what we should be doing, but hey ho. So once that's cool, you simply whisk this eggs into the chocolate. Break this off here. Whisk the eggs into the chocolate first. Looks rather like custard at this stage. It's got the yellow of the eggs making the white chocolate slightly yellowy. It's about the consistency of custard as well. And then into that, we're going to stir our flour. It says stir, not whisk, so I'll take my whiskers away. Over there, and you stir in your flour. And doesn't say fold in, but I don't think you want to knock all the air out. So I'm folding in, not desperately gently, but I'm folding it in. And then your Christmas pud as well. Christmas pud goes in next. Good. It's very nice. I think there's quite a lot of alcohol in this Christmas pudding. It smells delicious. I knew that would happen. There's flour on my spoon where I've been stirring it. So when you scrape that off, make sure you stir that well in so you don't get lumps of flour in your finished product. And then your lined tin, the lining which is making a big escape. It's a non-stick tin, so the lining paper wants to run away. Put that in there. Bake it. Gosh, that's sunk down. Hold on. So you bake that for 30 minutes at 180. And then you just chop it up in pieces and eat it. And you can, as I said, give this as a present. And there's little puddings you can buy, you know, pud for one. Are probably the size you want, or you can use the one I've got here, which is that slightly bigger size, and make a double lot, or you can make one lot and eat the rest, which is what we're going to do. We're going to have that for our pudding probably tomorrow, actually, after our Sunday lunch, which I haven't even thought about yet, but yeah, so that's what it looks like. You see it? That's what it looks like. The pudding speckled through it, sort of like chocolate drops in a cake, and it's going in the oven for 30 minutes. The oven's not quite ready, so I'll put it over there and I'll wipe my work surface. I'm going to look at my cheese things and see how they're doing. I'll mop this first because it's a bit covered in. Now the cheese medallions, once you've cut them, you need to sprinkle them with all sorts of things, as I have said in my recipe. So sorry to repeat myself. Come over here and talk to you, shall I, for a little while? The cheese medallions, you can sprinkle them with whatever you want. So I have some poppy seeds and some sesame seeds, and I've got cayenne pepper. You can use onion salt. You can use caraway seeds. You can kind of use whatever, or you can just use nothing. You can just brush them with egg and leave them plain. But to get different flavours, and if you're putting that as part of a buffet, it's quite nice to have all different ones. So that's what I would recommend you do. And that's what I'm going to get out now to clear the decks because the kitchen's looking a bit like a bomb's hit it. I'm going to move all my rubbish over there, like that. Like that. I'm having a lot of trouble with what do you recycle and what don't you recycle? I'm really quite stressed about which is which, because now the carb have introduced soft plastic recycling. I don't know what's going on. Right, oven's ready, so these are going in. Oven is full of baking trays, which I didn't use. Put those out. I need these for my next recipe. So, right, so that's going in 30 minutes. Oh, I can't see because it looks so scruffy. Can't see the recipe. So, that's in 30 minutes, and I'm going to get all my different things to sprinkle on these cheese medallions once I've cut them out. And you cut them into 1/4-inch slices. You don't need to grease the trays. Well, I'm going to, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to line mine. Simply because you don't grease the trays, you've got to wash the blooming things. So if you do it with paper, you don't have to. Don't do it with foil, they might stick, but you don't have to grease them. I just think paper's the easiest thing to do. I'm going to cover mine in paper. Brush them with milk. I'm going to brush them with egg and milk because an egg gives them a better colour. Sprinkle. It says here celery salt, poppy seeds, caraway seeds, whatever you like. So I'm going to get some stuff out and see you back in half a tick. No, recording paused. I've got an egg and a little bit of milk, which I'm just going to beat up well here. And I've got here poppy seeds, cayenne pepper, onion, salt, and garlic pepper. Okay, so 4 different things that I can put on these. And I've got one of my rolls out. Oh, and I haven't lined my tin. These are the tins that are in the oven, so a bit warm still. So I'll put it on a thing. Put it on a thing. Put it on a trivet because it's still a bit hot. So I'm just going to line that quickly and lay them on a lined baking sheet. I'm just a lazy cook, as you have discovered. Rather than need to be scrubbing and cleaning, just give these a bit of a quick rinse over. Once I take these off, it's much better. If you've got paper on, you can put them on twice. You can take one lot off and put the next lot on, and it'll be fine. So there we have our little roll, looking very strange. And we're going to cut it with a secret knife. You want a flat, if I could find the knife, a flat bladed knife. The knife has disappeared. Has one of you got it? Oh, where is it? Where is it? How silly. It's gone. Okay, you need a flat bladed knife, so let's just choose another one. So you don't want a serrated knife, is what I'm trying to say. Let's move that along a bit so you can see me. So you want 1/4-inch slices, which is a bit like that. Okay. Well, I think these could do with a little bit longer in the fridge, but needs must. So you put them in there. Keep making it round again. And cut your 1/4-inch slices. You see how little they are. So they're not going to be enormous, but that's ideal for nibbles, isn't it? You don't want nibbles to be huge. So I think you'll find that these are lovely. So I'm going to cut back another one. If they've gone a bit square, you need to squidge them a bit to make them round again. So let's make that one round. Oops. Obviously, you put them in the bottom of your fridge, which is the coldest bit, cold air falling and all that. So you want them right at the bottom of your fridge. You can, if you're pushed for time, which I should have thought of doing, is pop them in the freezer for a little while, because that would be equally good. Okay, so cut that whole roll. Really don't need to see me cut the whole roll. I'm only going to do one. I'm not going to force you to watch me do all of them because you'd probably... I'd hear you snoring, wouldn't I, from here, if you did that. So there we are. See some bits, I mean, as I said to you, it's not an exact science. Some of mine are slightly round, more than an inch across, and some are slightly less, but that's just life. I'm sure we learn to live with it, don't we? And this is what makes them handmade as opposed to buying a packet from a supermarket. Got lovely handmade nibbles, homemade nibbles. There we are. It's got a very strange shape. End one is, as always, a little peculiar, but also I've handled it, so it's got a bit soft. Right, so there they are. And now you want to brush them with either milk or egg and milk, or just egg. It's entirely up to you how extravagant you wish to be. I think egg and milk is a perfect combination. You get the browning from the egg and the milk stretches it a bit, which is good. And if you've got any left, you can stick it in your next lot of scrambled egg, or do some more pastry, or what you will. Give it to the dog, I used to, in the days when we had dogs. They would always welcome an egg. Actually great if you've got a dog, if you've got a Labrador or something like that, and you drop an egg on the floor, you just go whistle, and lo, you don't have to clean up the egg. It's all gone. I miss that. Right, not that I often drop eggs, but one does occasionally. So on top of here, we're going to sprinkle. So I have poppy seeds, black poppy seeds on one row. Okay. The next row we'll have some very dry onion salt. Hold on. Onion salt's gone very dry. Onion salt on the next lot. So we're talking sort of salt and vinegar crisps with onion salt on there. Onion salt on each of these. Sesame seeds on the next lot. Accept that stuff's going to go everywhere and just don't stress about it. Oh, going everywhere but on the flipping biscuits, aren't they? Sesame seeds on that row, and on this row I think we'll have some garlic pepper, which is nice and dark. That's going to show up nicely. Let's sprinkle that on with it. There we go. Garlic, smells nice. Garlic pepper on there. So there we are. So each row can have something else, and I still haven't used cayenne pepper, which would go on another lot, but you have already got paprika on, so that might be a bridge too far. So they need to go in at 200 for 10 minutes. Now, my oven's on at 180, so they can't go in yet. We've got to go in at 200 for 10 to 15 minutes. You must cool them on a wire rack or they won't crisp up. If you leave them on here, they'll stay soggy. You can keep them unbaked in your fridge, or you could freeze them unbaked. And then these will keep in an airtight container for 2 weeks. But they'll keep in the fridge for 3 or 4 weeks. So you could make them at the beginning of December for Christmas, which is only a very short time away. But that's what they look like. So we'll look at them when they're baked. And in the meantime, I'm going to switch you off and go and have a lie down. No, go and do some washing up. I'll put you on pause. Right, here are these out of the oven, and I'm going to pop them on this, on here, like it says, so they crisp up. And as you can see, lovely little golden, nibbly size, cheesy things. So I think you'll agree. How much nicer is this to give your guests homemade, delicious homemade nibbles, and they'll be really, really crunchy and soft, than buying a packet. You get a lot for your money than buying a packet in the supermercado. So these are the bigger ones. As you can see, they're not even. I know they're not, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I think they look lovely. So we'll leave those to crisp. And my things are nearly ready as well. So I'm going to get those, be ready to get those out and show you. Oh, I've got my tins lined to do the rest. But as I promised, I'm not going to make you watch me do all the rest, but I will do all the rest, and then I'll pop them all in an airtight tin. And I'm probably, those of you who play the ukulele, take them to ukulele next Friday. I don't know who's doing tea and cakes, but I might ask if I could take their place and produce some sweet and savoury nibbles, because that would be good. So let me just see if my cake's done. It's nearly done. Oh, do you know, I always put the oven glove down and I always forget where I've put it, like a knit. Not quite, just a bit soggy in the middle. Just a bit, I'm going to give it another, it has actually got about 3 or 4 more minutes. So I'll put you on hold for 3 or 4 more minutes. Contain your souls in patience, ladies. Okay, so this is the chocolatey thing, I'm trying to get them in. I've forgotten how to do this. This is the Blondies. These are the Blondies. This is the tin of Blondies. They have a sort of crust because that's the chocolate bit of them, I'm guessing, making a little crust, but you can see they're very cooked around the edges. Can you see the edges are cooked nicely? So there they are. They need to come out and go onto a cooling tray, obviously. I'm going to lift them out onto the cooling tray, but that's them. Cut them up into small squares, and there we have them. So that's my 2 things I've shown you: Christmas pudding Blondies and cheese medallions, all in one afternoon. What a superstar. Right. So 2 for the price of 1 this afternoon. I'm sorry if you only wanted to learn about one of them, but you know, oh dear, it's a bit dark, isn't it? You can't always have what you want, girls, in this life. It's actually really bright outside, but I've got the blinds down because of the sun, so I look a bit dark. So that's it, 2 things, and more will follow, but I've just been really busy, so I'm sorry it's taken me so long to do these, but I hope you enjoy them. Take care. Bye.